Hello and welcome to Runkle of the Bailey. My name is Ian Runkle. I'm a Canadian criminal defense and firearms lawyer. The most recent news with the Canadian gun ban is that they are extending the amnesty order to October 30th, 2025. They've just announced this plan. Now, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, back in 2020, the government banned some 1,500 models of what they call assault-style firearms. But they put in an amnesty to allow people to continue holding on to these things until they figured out what the buyback was. Well, they've had 3 years and they haven't made any steps on this. So as a result of that, they've just put this up on the Canadian Firearm Program, and they note the amnesty order will be extended until October 30th, 2025. So they have a timeline here, and the timeline has now October 30th, 2023, which is when it's currently set to expire, but they note that they will extend it. Not that they have yet, but they've made this promise to the public that they will extend it until 2025. And then they've got some details about what they're going to do, which is really, at this point, very vague. Now, I'll note here that they have some incorrect instructions as to firearm storage, so I always recommend not relying on the RCMP for legal information or legal knowledge because they're just not very good at it. But some people have asked for my thoughts on this. First, this is not unexpected because the amnesty was running out. It was a virtual certainty that they were going to give this extension. In fact, so much so that I recorded a video last night where I said, hey, they still haven't announced what their plan is, but it's gonna be another extension because they pretty much have to. So I've had to throw that video out just because the timing, it didn't work out. But one thing I will note is that all of this makes it very clear that the whole point of this has never been public safety. Because if it was public safety, they'd be looking to get these things real fast. And instead, they keep slow rolling it. They're saying, these are so dangerous that people can't have them. And I've got an AR-15 in my gun safe. I just can't take it to the range because apparently it's super dangerous if I shoot it at a accredited range, but not if it's in my gun safe for some reason. This makes no sense to me. But that's what they're saying. Also, they're so dangerous they can't be allowed to be used for anything except indigenous hunting. Although the exceptions for that are really more of a trap that might end up with some indigenous people who are legitimately relying on those exceptions to end up facing charges. I think what they're doing to indigenous people there is actually quite ugly, but no one's really talking about that. So what's actually going on? Well, I don't think it's much of a convenience or much of a coincidence that they have extended this out to an election year. Because really, the whole point of this has never actually been public safety. It's been that they need a wedge issue. And why do they need a wedge issue? Well, because Canadians are getting upset with them on housing, on the economy, on the consistent, weirdly controlling attempts to regulate the internet, on issues of personal, of corruption, because there's been corruption scandal after corruption scandal after corruption scandal, as well as issues of just personal character, his Mr. Dress-Up escapades, the fact that he hasn't been able to deny a sexual assault allegation, the fact that he was mocking Indigenous water protesters, the fact that our government covered for a guy who flashed his co-workers repeatedly, it didn't just happen once. All of these things are really having Canadians run out of patience. And the latest, of course, is with Israel, because my dad was in Israel and the Canadian government offered him no support in getting out. He's now out, but no thanks to the Canadian government. The Canadian government is just now beginning to figure out how they'll assist with evacuations. Well, when seconds count, the government is on vacation. This is not super helpful. But by holding on to this to an election year, what they'll be able to do is point to the conservatives and say, those big, mean conservatives want these assault-style weapons. And again, if you got to call something assault style, or anything style something, it's not that first thing. Beef style burgers will contain lots of things, but no beef. Ice cream style dessert is not going to be ice cream. Any of these style things, this is really just a way to manipulate the public. And hopefully people are starting to catch on to this. Even Polytechnique is saying, wait a minute, we've been tricked, we've been had. And what they're going to be doing is, around election season, they're going to say, then those bad conservatives want to put these weapons on the street, because they hope that that's what the election can be about, and not on housing, not on the economy, not on all of these deep failings that we've been seeing. Because really, that's all they've got. So, as a gun owner, it does not feel great to be the scapegoat for all of their policy failures. It really, I think that's unfortunate. And I think that we deserve better from a government than to try to divide Canadians over these things just for very crass political advantage. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this one. If you want to know what you can do with these firearms in the meantime, if you happen to be an owner of one of these firearms, well, nothing has changed. It's literally, at least not that they've announced, it appears that it's going to be the same amnesty just continuing on. So for most of us, that just means you can keep it in a safe and not do anything with it. There are certain limited exceptions for moving or for if you want to take it for destruction. But if you do that, you get no money. So don't do that. The government doesn't actually want you taking it for destruction at this point. They want them around for election season. But yeah, I have some previous videos on what you can do. I'm not going to go through that in full detail, but if people do have a lot of questions, I may do a follow-up video just to try to explain that. But anyway, I guess those are my thoughts for right now. As I mentioned, I had a different video recorded and had to throw it out, but that's just the way things go. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this to be interesting or educational. Please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to see more content. I also want to thank my Patreon supporters at the $50 level, Canada's National Firearms Association, the CCFR, Lembas for the ELF, and the Canadian Shooting Sports Association. And at the $20 level, Lindsay Metcalf, Larry Kalniak, Here's a Coin Legal Witcher, Cameron Johnson, Andrew Elsich, Vicky, and Dorky Dane. Thank you as well to my $10 supporters who will be in the crawl immediately following. Thank you for watching. Hope this has armed you with knowledge. See you next time.